Madhouse Podcasting Network.
So, Bobby, how's it going, dude? We haven't even started.
All right.
Yeah, we haven't even started. I haven't done the introductions yet, so all this stuff's just for our nonsense.
We've always done things for our own amusement. So.
Yeah, we don't ever do it for anybody else.
If anybody else likes it, then great.
And that is exactly what we've said several times on this podcast. We're like, we do this because it's fun for us, and if you don't like it, fuck off.
And we've always had that attitude.
Yeah, it's the only attitude to have.
Pretty much.
Oh man.
Pretty much.
First off, it's really good to see you, man. I think the last time I saw you was at the premiere of Sliders, Oranges and Sliders, which was super cool.
Yeah,
that was
2016,
cool.
Dude.
Yeah, that was almost like a reunion for a lot of people.
Oh, it was. I saw so many people we hadn't seen in so long and reconnected. It was really. Up at that point, some of them even though we connected on Facebook, we hadn't seen each other in so long.
Yeah.
So it was really great to see one another. And I think the biggest thing with that for me was seeing the impact that we've had.
Yeah.
Being so removed from it. And I'm standing up there happy to see all you guys, but then I look down in the lobby and I see a line of people going out, and that still hits me to this day. I'm like, what?
I know.
Wow.
I know it's super crazy. As you have, I've been out of the game. Well, I went to back in 2015, but I've been out of it for a bit too. And it's like, I go to all the events now, and we're doing the podcast and meeting all these people, and there's like, oh my God, I looked up to you and blah blah. And I'm like, what are you fucking talking about? Like, it's so weird to hear that, because like I just did an event where I was having fun, and then. Now these people are coming and they're hearing stories from whoever at Haunt, maybe Scott, and and it's like, we try to get some of them on, and their response is like, why would you want me on? Like, really?
Yeah.
And we're all in the same boat, man. Just different generations.
Exactly.
You're carrying the torch.
Yeah.
That's exactly it. It's like I'm still in it, dude.
Yeah.
I'm still last year I worked a full event, and I'm just on the management side now.
Yeah, I think the greatest thing now is I like to watch the kids now, my kids, and them enjoy it, and I don't ever want to put anything on my face ever again.
Do your kids
don't want to stick nothing on my face. I just want to watch the kids have fun and get scared and just.
Well, let's get into it and start talking Haunt.
Yeah.
So I guess the first question we have is, what made you go to Knott's Berry Farm and want to be?
I don't even think I know this.
Scare
I don't
actor.
even think I know this.
Yeah. Let's see. I'm gonna go way back on this one. I used to do when I was a kid in elementary school, back in 6th grade, 7th grade, 8th grade, right around July, August. My best friend down the street, and whoever wanted to join in, we used to gather up cardboard and all the old leaves and let the lawn start growing about August. And we used to build a haunted house every year out at my house. And whenever we got hungry, we'd go trick or treat. Then we'd come back and we'd be in our makeup and stuff. And I'd have like a Michael Myers mask on and with the stereo cranked up, and we'd chase kids around and make mazes out in front of the house. And so Halloween was it, man. Loved it. And then, God, what year was it? I don't think I was old enough to drive yet, but I was going on, I was probably a sophomore. I went on this double date with, other high school couple. And ironically enough, it was Steve Gomer, who was old enough to drive.
Holy shit.
Wow.
Steve
Gomer. And that's when I met him. And we went on a double date to Halloween Haunt. And that was probably 1983 or 4.
Damn.
Oh, wow.
And, they had peek-ins, and we were standing at the peek-in watching everybody get scared, and just watching the whole ghost. And I think Ghost Town was the only thing that they had then, I think that and a couple rides. And so, we would sit and we just looked at each other and went, we got to do this one day. We just went, whoa, this is so cool. And that was probably, like I said, 83, 4, or 5, somewhere around there. Well, when I turned 18, the first thing I did was I saw my first year in college at Golden West's flyer on the wall in the music department, audition for Knott's Berry Farm, not Scary Farm. And I'm like, oh, I'm going. Nice. I just dropped everything and went. And who was in line?
Gomer.
Steve Gomer.
He's like, hey, Bobby.
That's funny.
And he was standing with Gino England.
Oh, Gino.
And that's when I met Gino for the first time.
Wow, that's awesome.
So I walk up and he pulled me up in the front of the line, and we auditioned up at the top of the Independence Hall there in that theater that's up on top. And that was my first haunt experience. And that's how I got into it.
Nice.
So where did you land that first year?
I landed in a maze called the Third Dimension, which is dance hall back at the back of Ghost Town.
Right.
And it's been many things since then, but it was called Third Dimension when I did it. And we were in, and what's so funny is I was thinking about all the pictures I have stashed away that are still in boxes from when I moved. And you're going, send me some pictures. I'm like, oh, I could have sent you guys so much stuff.
I know.
I've got these pictures, and I was in this room that had this 3-song loop, Dead Man's Party, Monster Mash, and one other song. And oh man, it drove us nuts, but we had so much fun. And the big moment that first year, remember there was all of 8 nights this first year that I worked. And I'll never forget, Elvira was doing her movie, and Weird Al Yankovic subbed in that year in the Good Time Theater.
Oh, nice.
And I'll never forget, my big memory my first year was the fact that they said, Weird Al's coming through your maze. And I got up on this, I used to do this thing where I got up on the guardrail and would stand there and then fall forward and slam the wall across the walkway where they went. And I put Weird Al on the ground, man, looking up at me, going, oh my God. You know? That was my big memory from, that was 1986.
Wow.
Damn.
Yeah. So that was my first experience in a maze, 8 nights. And I worked it with Chris Fording,
Good
the late Chris.
Rest in peace.
Rest in peace to him too. Gino England.
Gino too, yeah.
Yeah. And Chris Fording actually was my first partner out on the streets when we both moved out together. The very next year we moved out and we auditioned again and we got out to Ghost Town.
Nice.
Nice.
Yep.
So
that was how it all kind of moved along.
8 nights, dude. 8 nights. I swear my first year was like 10 or 12 nights.
Yeah.
In 1990.
Yeah.
So I get that.
Yeah, 8 nights. You look back on it. We made the joke that 30 nights of haunt, and it became 30 nights of haunt. I think right there toward the end.
I think we got to 27 or 28.
You guys were close. You guys were close.
Insane.
But how many are there now? Because they go pretty early on in September.
Yeah, they start.
Not as early as Universal, but Knott's goes pretty early now.
Well, from what I heard, is they're starting even a week earlier than last year. This year.
My God. Oh, that's so crazy.
Wow. And they even do it during summer, don't they? Don't they have a week of haunt or something like that during summer?
No.
Oh, I thought they did some sort of event or something that was like a haunt something.
Well, they do Taste of Halloween.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, it's a food thing.
Oh, never mind. Okay, I thought they were doing. I'm like, man, now they're doing haunt in the middle of summer.
Well, there's other haunts out here that do summer haunts. They do halfway to Halloween events. And
they do.
Wow.
Yeah, I think the new thing this past year was like St. Patrick's. They did St. Patrick's haunts. I know a couple up here where I'm at. They did a St. Patrick's and a Valentine's. They just basically do an event for holidays, and I'm like.
Right, haunt for every day,
It's like kind of ruining it.
Yeah, it kind of gets overkill, doesn't it?
Yeah.
But
breathe and sleep Halloween. I'm down for it.
I mean, I love it, but hey.
Yeah. Okay, so 87.
Yeah.
You get the streets. Now, what was your first character that year? I don't want to divulge what I know you as when I met you. I want to hear the timeline and see when you started that character.
I'll tell you what, it all fell in. I was the lion drummer of Ghost Town right from day one.
Wow.
You're shitting me.
Nope. The face went through several iterations, but I was right from day one. I was the lion drummer of Ghost Town.
So you got makeup right away.
Went right into makeup.
That's
and
cool.
The reason being was they needed a drummer to be in the hanging show to do the whole thing, and they wanted it to be a makeup character. And somebody said, I know he plays drums, and let's bring him in. And so I said, yeah, I'd love to. I mean, of course.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And they pulled out this mask and they said, it's a lion. You want to be a lion? I'm like, I would have been a slug. I didn't care. I was just stoked to get out on the streets, man.
That's
You
awesome.
put whatever you want on me. So yeah, they pulled out the lion, and from moment one, I was the lion drummer.
That's
Okay,
so cool.
so at that point in time, were you using a wig or your own long flowing hair that you used to have?
I used to have. No. Yeah, the good old days. I used to tuck it up and do, conditioning treatment and everything under the wig. No, used a wig, had a wig for a long time. And because I said, man, I don't want anybody pulling my real hair or lighting on fire or doing whatever they're going to do.
Right.
I want to keep that stuff tucked underneath, and I'll just wear a wig. And I did that for quite a while. And it wasn't until later on, like there toward the later years, mid 90s on, that I started using my real hair.
Dude, that wig too, like I've seen pictures of it. That's like a full on fucking 80s rocker wig.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, it is. Like Motley. Nikki Sixx in red hair.
Yep.
Yes.
Yep.
That was funny. That was really funny.
Yeah.
So back then though, the hanging was still like a legit hanging, not a current event show, right?
Yeah, the first year, it was known for a long time as the witch hanging. And then my first year out there, we hung a Gypsy that year. It hadn't gone on to this current event comedic show with blood and gore mixed in for, the Halloween element.
Good old Tom Clough.
Yeah, good old Tom, man. I miss that guy.
I know.
It's so funny is we used to shake our head and go, what? But now looking back on it, it's like, oh man, I missed that guy.
Yeah.
It was fun. It was fun.
Yeah,
But
it was.
it was a Gypsy hanging, and it tried to stick to the original script. Short show. I think it was only like 10 minutes,
Yeah.
maybe, from the time we marched in until she disappeared. And everybody just kind of went, that it?
Right.
I think it was like 10 minutes long. We did it 2 times a night, 9 and 12. We didn't have the 3 shows a night kind of thing, or whatever it's up to, or whatever we got up to.
Progressed 3 shows a night. Well, the hanging's no longer.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they got rid of it.
Yeah, it's been gone.
Thank goodness.
It was 2019 was the last year.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
So,
better late than never,
question
right?
for you, Bobby. Like,
Well,
can you hear us okay?
what's that?
Can you hear us?
Yeah, I got you.
Okay. Your sound keeps cutting in and out. That's why I
Uh-oh.
want to make sure. Yeah.
No, it's all right.
Okay, sorry about that.
No, you're
No, it's
good.
okay. So, question for you.
Yeah.
That year, when it was the Gypsy, when it changed from a witch hang to a Gypsy, was there a reason for that?
You know what? Not that I can remember. Things weren't, how do I say this? They weren't so PC back then
Yeah.
to where we were changing characters. I think there might have been something because witchcraft or Wiccans were a little upset or something like that, and they complained, if I remember correctly, if I take myself back there. But they were like, okay, it's a religious thing. Okay, we'll change it. We won't hang a witch. We'll do a Gypsy this year. And they actually made the change. I remember that because Karen Goldfuss was the Gypsy that year.
Okay.
And they made the change, last second. Like, we're talking like a week before Haunt.
Oh, wow.
Right.
And that's when we went to rehearsals. And that's when you went like one night to rehearsal. Is that what we're doing? All right, good.
Yeah.
And we were done,
Like a whole 3 weeks prior.
Yeah, not a month of rehearsals, learning where the pyro's at. How do we get these plugs out of the ground so the guy can do the high fall? It wasn't all that.
Yeah.
So that's why they changed it. And then that very next year started the bringing in the modern characters of Freddy Krueger.
Yeah.
Good old
And-
Robert
days.
Shook.
Yeah, Robert Shook. And I still talk to that guy too on occasion,
Oh, nice.
once in a while.
Man, we should
down
get...
in Australia.
Oh,
Oh,
wow.
is he doing stunt down there?
He's in theater. I don't know. He's not doing stunts. He's doing theater, but he stayed in the acting bits and stuff like that. He's doing that.
Good for him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now,
So that's kind of how it evolved, and then it just started the next year. It was still a short show, but that's the first year they brought in the first commentary or the first modern story of what's going on.
right. And it started evolving.
Yep.
Now, the story that's always been passed down about the witch hanging thing where it switched and whatnot, and that was the year 2 when it changed to Gypsy, is that, like you were saying, the pagans,
Wiccans, yeah.
The society complained about it, and
Yeah.
from what I understand is they said we don't like that, and Knotts went through with it, and then now this is all hearsay, it's folklore type of thing, but
Yeah.
they went through with it. They saw it, and that on one of those nights, the power went out in the entire park, and like it was like, oh, you guys are gonna regret it type of thing, and then that's when it forced the change. Like I said, that could be all hearsay. I don't know how
That would have been before Haunt, so I don't know. I don't know. I mean, if it did, maybe somebody knows something else. It didn't happen during Haunt, but
okay,
yeah, maybe that would have been a previous regular work day, and they because they made the change, like I said, right before Haunt started.
yeah,
I remember them talking about, we got to make this change and everything. I'm like, and everybody's kind of going, okay,
yeah,
well, whatever. So the change was because of the Wiccan, society was upset, and over years of doing that. But the other thing, as far as the park power going out,
yeah,
that I don't know. I can't neither confirm nor deny.
Yeah. Well, what's funny is that we're talking about the witch, and all 3 of us know Charlene,
Oh yeah.
and she retired finally a few years back,
Yep.
and so nobody wears that costume anymore. She owns it.
That's good to hear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To retire it, and that was her character, man. That was it. So
Yeah.
that's good to hear. They're nobody's the witch. Let somebody else bring it up later on.
Yeah.
Change it up, make it look different.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
Which they've done. I mean, I'm sure you've been. Since then, they did do. They did have the witches running around with the tricksters and all that stuff, and they did a maze with the green witches in it too. And I was like, wait, we got 2 green witches. We got one walking around the tricksters, and we got the real green witch over here in Ghost Town. What's going on?
It's funny because I was actually with this. Not only was I trying to remember, a lot of stories and a lot of people and a lot of names, I tried to remember the last time I went to Haunt.
Oh, geez.
And it was funny because not too long ago, I just, in looking for photos, I did find a picture of you, me, Kristen, again, another one.
God rest her soul.
Oh, God rest her soul. And that was 5 or 6 years ago now. And time goes by so fast in the
I
blink.
know exactly what picture you're talking about, because Peanut and Paul
Yes.
were in that too.
Yep.
We were
They
at
were.
Ghost Rider exit.
Yes. And I was there. I think I was there that night too, because we had just lost Sandy. And I was there. That was the first Haunt after Sandy. Another one. It's man, we've lost a lot of people, man. A lot of great people.
Yeah.
A lot of great
George
people.
Case.
Yeah, George Case, Heidi, Mel. I mean, it's like, man, and there's so many more I know I'm forgetting.
Yeah.
But I was there to place a rose on under Sandy's picture that night, and that was actually the last time I went.
Oh wow.
Dude, that was
Because
a long time.
that was
ago.
a long time.
Sandy's passing really, really hit me hard.
Yeah.
So, because I was with her those last couple days, and that was rough.
Yeah.
It was a special lady.
100%. She was never about any of the nonsense that goes on there. She's like, I love it.
No,
Oh,
she had love, nothing but love.
Yep.
In her heart.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's always the ones that have the ones that are pure genuine that get taken from us. It sucks.
It rocks you. It rocks you. Leaves an impression.
What's that say about us? We're still here.
Shit, I might live to 100. I don't know.
So okay, that was year 2 in Ghost Town. So
Yeah.
as things start developing, okay, you're running with Chris Fording.
Yes.
When did you start meeting? Oh shit, the rest of the group, like Scate and Wade.
Oh wow.
SW.
Well, my first year again, I think we were maybe pushing 9 nights. I don't know, 8 nights. We were still in that 8-night kind of thing. I think we were upset because they added a Thursday. I'm not sure. Or maybe a Sunday.
You're
I don't know.
Do you want us to do 10 nights? You're crazy.
I'm trying to think. Chris and I ran, and then we met Wade. That first year we met Wade, and he was running with his buddy Ray
Nichols.
Ray Nichols.
Yeah, Ray Nichols.
Ratman.
Yep, Ray Nichols. And ironically enough, a person who just contacted me this weekend who was in town for the Broadcasters Convention, Roger Kinker.
No way.
Yeah. And so we talked on the phone long. I said, I'm doing this podcast about haunt. And he's all, no way. And so I just talked to him, and he's doing really well. But yeah, I met him. That was that first year who I really met. You know, you're the new guy out on the street, and I was worried about getting from my spot back to the entertainment office to pick up my snare drum, make sure I was at my cue spot on time.
That's a long fucking walk too.
Yeah, it is. In the crowd. Yes, it is.
Yeah.
That's where I learned the back roads and everything, how to cut through to Good Time Theater and the entertainment office.
Yeah.
But then I had to get back, and that's where I met Robin, the pyrotech girl.
Right. Okay.
Robin.
Yeah.
And she's here in Vegas as well. She's been here probably the longest out of anybody.
Yeah, isn't she
doing shows?
Doesn't she do the pyro at some of the hotels? Like,
oh yeah, she does all kinds of shows. I don't know what she's doing now. I haven't talked to her in a while, but I know she's here. I think she's still working a lot of the shows.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that was pretty much the first year. A guy named, I remember Jeff. Wish I could remember last names. Some of them were there for only a couple years.
Yeah.
Don, who was the vampire back then, Don Ballway or something like that was his name. George, who I still talk to.
George.
Yeah, George.
Yeah. So you got George, the head.
God, I'm trying to remember the cast and crew back then.
Did you meet John A at the same time?
No, John A. He was over. He came in later.
Oh,
he was several years down the road. He was actually over in the 90s. He came over with Todd.
Okay. So you got all these guys. See, this is the kind of stuff that I like hearing because, I mean, goes back to the beginning of my years. I mean, this is before I met you guys. I didn't meet you guys until 96, but you know, hearing all the stuff leading up to it. And this is, you guys are the major reason why I wanted Ghost Town even before I started working haunt. You know, for real, it's like, you know, and then I got out there, but we're talking about your history, not mine.
Hey, I'll tell you what, I mean, I understand what you're saying completely, because I remember, I mean, having gone, and I went several years as a guest, as a young person. And that first year that I was in that maze, I was like, okay, I've got to see what it's like.
Yeah.
I've got to see it. I've got to see Ghost Town. Mm-hmm. So I decided to, you know, we were given our break area there, where to go, where to eat. Crow's Nest is over there. Here's how you get there. But I said, no, man, I'm going to go to Lakeside.
Walk across the park. Yeah.
Right. I want to go to Lakeside. And the reason I want to go to Lakeside is I want to get out on the street and walk through the people.
Yeah. And see what it's like.
And I kept my costume on. And on this one lunch break, like on night 5 or 6, I said, I'm going to go. And sure enough, I went. And of course, I was by myself. I didn't think to take somebody.
Yeah.
Man, I'll tell you what, that was an eye-opening, crazy 5-minute journey that I'll never forget, because the adrenaline started going. Everybody started bouncing. And if you've ever been across the train tracks there going down toward the log ride,
Yeah,
that area
that
gets
midway.
on a busy night. That is wall to wall people.
Yep, it gets packed. It's a bottleneck.
Oh my God. And walking through there, I was almost a little like, oh my gosh, this is like almost overwhelming. And thank God I saw the door to go to the lakeside to cut through. And so I ducked out, but people and all that whole experience. And the first thing I thought was, oh, I got to get out here next year. I got to get out here. That was intense. So I understand it.
Yeah, I mean that was the thing for me too. It's like you get the commotion, you see the reactions from people in close proximity with the talent, you know, and that's kind of what did it for me. But I said this to Wade too, and I always make him feel like an old bitch because he is.
He is.
I told him, I go, dude, watching you slide, I go, that's what I want to do. Yeah. That's what I want to do, you know. And I can't remember what year that was. Like I started sliding when I was 16. You know, first time I hit the ground on pads was in my parents' garage, and I didn't know how to stop, so I slammed in the garage door.
It's the only way you
usually. Exactly.
So I know back then things were a lot different, but like when you were given the lion character, was there something that you used for inspiration as how you developed that character, and you know what you know, obviously a lion, but was there something else you drew from to create more out of that character?
You know, it's funny. I wanted it to be the silent in the bushes kind of predator and take that. And I let the character kind of just develop itself. And sure enough, that's how the face led me down the path, and I just kind of went that way with it. And so I thought like a lion, you know, they hide in the bush, but when they go after something, they go full blast. And that's kind of the way I took it, especially in those early days when I could heal real quick and, you know, pain wasn't as big a deal. And we only had 10 nights. So it's like, you know, I just kind of treated it like a lion, you know, and I let that face just pull it in at that point. You know, it wasn't necessarily the bloodiest of characters. You know, it wasn't scary. Like if you looked at it, you're like, oh, you're a lion. But but I turned it into something that stalked and drew attention for others. And so like decoy. Chris would then, I became a decoy for a lot of people, and I played off of that. Yeah. And so I think when Ray quit and then Chris started doing his own thing and kind of changing up a bit, Wade and I kind of gravitated toward each other, and we were partners for a long time. We were partners for a lot of years.
Yeah. I was privy to your decoy days too, because I remember you doing that for us.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
You know,
and
it was great
because I got to be good at being the decoy, because I could get my scares in, you know, I could see it, I could read the crowd, but setting Wade up and then moving in off of him, he and we learned to play off of one another, and it worked out really well. And that's, I said, I developed that early on, because again, I wasn't a blood and gore character or something that looked evil. Yeah. You know, so I had to kind of learn to make it work. Yeah. You know, and that's what I did. So I found perches to draw attention. Like I used to hang out in a tree like a cat and let my arm hanging down, and I used to swing it, and people used to I used to draw their attention up, and boom, here comes Wade underneath me. Right. You know. And so, I mean, you learn to play off of that, and that's exactly what I did. I just let the face, you know, draw it in. Yeah.
And then he lowers the boom.
Yep, exactly. And then I'd hop out of the tree and we'd chase people around Ghost Town and stuff. It was all kinds of craziness.
And that was before you guys started doing the body slide nonsense, right? Or is that about, because Wade mentioned that Jay Mead actually was doing that one time, and Wade's all, what are you doing? And he's like, oh, I'm just doing this. And Wade's all, show me. And that's how the kind of the body slide thing started. And then, but let's talk a little bit about that. Cause that's history right there.
Yeah. No, I get you. And it's funny too, because we did this movie on it, and not that he did a bad job. I mean, there was so much story to tell, and it's like, you could only tell so much of it, but thinking back, the development of the slide, there were so many things we used to do. Mm-hmm. And for me, I'm just going to tell it from my perspective and then what
Yeah,
I
yeah.
saw. My first year, like there was this guy, I don't even know his name, but I got a picture of him, but he played the Phantom. And
Yes,
I
I remember that guy.
really tall, really slender. He did it for only a year or two, way, 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 way back.
Yeah.
And he used to take coffee cans, and he tried it once and he slid. And the problem was they became razor blades really quickly
Yeah.
because they got sharp
Yeah.
on the ground, but he slid. So the idea was there. Jay Mead, and thing is, I remember that night when he was out
Another
there when
guy,
the
God
show
rest his
got
soul.
rained out. And this was even, I think, a year or two after I was first on street.
Mhm.
My very first year on street, and again, meeting Wade and Roger and Ray and some of the other guys at the time, they said, hey, we used to do this gig where they used to drag somebody around by their legs around Ghost Town.
Monster drag.
Monster drag. And since I was the newbie and I was the willing guy, what did they do? I said, okay. Right. And so I would get drug around. They'd throw me and I'd go sliding and spinning across the square. They would run and toss me and I'd go in the air and hit and slide and roll. And, you know, and all of this, believe it or not, was going that direction. It's
Yeah.
like scaring from different angles
Right.
is what
Yeah.
the whole point was. And then me being a cat, you know, hunkered down and I would lunge and slide out. And of course, back then we felt like we were going forever, but we were only going, what, like 3-4 feet, maybe.
Yeah.
But it got a reaction.
Yeah.
And so honestly, the way the slide for me came about was just about protecting myself. That's
Okay.
how it started happening. So I started looking, okay, get some leather gloves, duct tape. And I used duct tape. People went to the washers in the hands and stuff.
Yeah.
I kept duct tape on my hands till the day I walked away
Yeah.
from haunt,
Till the end of your career.
because I could steer real well. And the thing was that duct tape used to superheat, and it was hard plastic by the time I got into like a second week.
Yeah.
And so after they wore in, I go further,
Yeah.
but I had control. So that was
Right.
just my gig. And I did the fingertips just in duct tape and I superheated them and they turned into hard plastic shells.
Yeah.
You know, we only had the bike knee pads at the time. Skateboarding had, as Todd explains, it kind of died and it wasn't all that popular. And they
Yeah.
weren't doing all that crazy stuff yet that they do nowadays, where they flip over 25 times and hit the ramp, a football field that way. So they didn't have all the safety gear, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we had bike knee pads, and we used to steal the cheesecloth off of the different houses and the ghost town buildings and string. I mean, I look like a mummy in some photos that I got from the early days. I got all this cloth hanging off of me. I look like I'm wearing a kilt and I'm a
Yeah.
mummy.
All
mummy in a
this-
kilt.
all
I mean,
this
it's
cheesecloth
crazy.
on your knees and elbows.
The
and-
mummy lion.
Right.
Yeah.
And, you know, it was for the padding and on the elbows and stuff like that. And used to blow through shirts. And it was me, Wade, Roger Kinker, a couple of other guys. Can't think of off the top of my head. I know I'm nerd from the stunt team, and there's a few other guys in there. But we were all experimenting with different things, but we started scaring from different levels. And that's all where it was at.
Yeah.
And then again, the evolution was, then we said, hey, let's run across and just jump and slide across the ground. And
Pete
so we
Rose
started
style.
doing that. Right. Pete
Yeah.
Rose sliding into second base, home plate, whatever style. So we started doing that. And a lot of times it was a setup for the guy coming in this way. So we started doing that, and it was so effective to come in at different angles. They didn't know where you're coming from. It wasn't all shoulder height. It was just all these different levels. So
Yeah.
I would slide in, Roger would come in midway, and then Wade would jump up in the air, and then we'd switch, and we'd come in at all these different angles. One night doing the hanging, they used to have this stupid rope over that thing that I have to put on.
Uh-huh.
And I remember it used to cut into my collarbone. It used to hurt something fierce. Oh my God, it hurt. And so like the third night in, I was just like, oh, dang, man. And so I'm like, you see me at the drum and I look like I got a broken collarbone. And So I used to ride off-road in motorcycles and quads and all others, or ATCs back then out in the desert. So I had motorcycle gear. So I went, what if? And I was the first guy out there. And this is one thing I will lay claim to. We were all using the bike knee pads and cheesecloth and gloves and trying to duct tape them to death. I brought in my motorcycle gear, my chest protector, all my pads. It bulked me up, made me look bigger. And, I had all my leathers underneath for the extra padding. I mean, I was wearing full-blown motocross gear underneath my hunt costume.
God damn.
But still, cheesecloth, duct tape, but it gave me that extra padding. And it gave me something to rest that rope on for the drum.
Yeah.
So it wasn't digging. I was like, I love it.
Yeah.
And on the last night, and this is year 2, on the last night, or one of the last nights, Karen Goldfuss comes up because she's a lead. And it was one of those rowdy nights where they decided, hey, it's starting to sprinkle. Let's get everybody off the street. She came up to tell us, and it was like only 10:30. I remember it was early. But they're going to pull the monsters. It's just getting a little too crazy. Got some injuries going on. And she comes up and she goes to tap me in the shoulder, and she goes, what is that? She's tapping on all the hard plastic I got on me. And I go, I've got on my chest protector. She goes, okay, you're going to go with me. And I was her bodyguard because I'm like, I went from getting told to get off the street to, okay, I want you to lead me and protect me because it was really getting crazy. Yeah. And I said, okay. And then she pulls me aside after we got everybody off the street. She goes, what? Why do you wear all that? And I go, just for protection, because it's, we're taking a beating. We're throwing ourselves on the ground now. And yeah, the very next year they had 25 chest protectors purchased for Ghost Town.
That's cool.
Those old blue ones they had that were only in the front, not the back ones. Those really old ones that first year.
Didn't you use the same chest protector until the end of your career too?
Yeah, I used that same chest protector all 15 years out there, or all 13 years.
Yeah.
And used it to the end, and it was broken in the front, but it still held together. And that opened up all kinds of new doors to sliding and steering. I could like lift my legs and slide on. And that's when the plastic started kind of giving you a little bit more boost. And now I could slide 10, 12 feet, 15. Now I'm like, oh, wow. And then I could steer. So I was this big movable object.
Yeah.
And, that's pretty much how using the other gear started, the protective gear.
See, I never knew where that came from. Now I know.
Yeah. So that's where that came from. And so I had it, and then Karen Goldfuss bought them for everybody in Ghost Town that wanted to wear them. Yeah. And a lot of people were trying it out. So that's all part of the evolution. And a couple years later, that's when we were trying to make it safer for everybody. And then along comes Todd, and he takes it up that notch that it is that everybody knows so much now.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's insane now.
Yep. All those things I see everybody doing, I'm just like, wow, that's kind of cool.
Right. You're like, hey, I was there at the beginning of this. I helped get this started.
I got some bruises and stuff like that you wouldn't believe from trying to do this stuff early on. Yeah. I mean, it's neat to see where it evolved from. And again, it was a collective effort from a whole lot of people. I mean, they say Todd is Slider one of that new generation, but all the people that kind of brought it up to that point where people can now go airborne and jump people and go under and all that stuff. I mean, it started off with probably 6, 7, 8 guys just playing with it, trying to perfect it to the best of what we had available to us.
Yeah.
That was in the hanging, remember?
Huh?
That was the pre-show in the hanging when we did that, remember?
Oh yeah.
All those vividly. It was 97.
Yeah, pre-show was where a lot of the stuff started to happen, of jumping people, going under stuff in between legs, and doing all these, starting to do tricks and spins. Yeah,
and because it started out of boredom. We're like, fuck, we got to do something that's funner.
All creative stuff comes out of boredom.
Yes.
Did it haunt? That's for sure.
Yeah, see, that's the thing. When I started going to haunt, I remember seeing the body slide stuff, and I'm like, that's fucking painful.
Yeah, I can, looking back in retrospect, I will absolutely agree with that. It was painful, but hey, I was young. I could heal.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
That's the way I looked at it.
Yeah. No, it's insane.
Yep. Now would I do it? Hell no. I'll be a decoy, but I'm not going to slide for anybody.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm the idiot that still does it at our age.
I could slide once.
You're like, just one time.
One time. Would I like to? Yeah, I'll give it a try. Why not? It might not end pretty, but it'll be good.
Yeah, but you put on some of the current gear, you're gonna be like, holy shit, this is totally different when you hit the ground.
Well, the last couple of years, I did use the newer stuff, the hard caps and some of the washers. I did experiment with that, and that's where I found my jive, my game was, the hard shells here, but I still kept the duct tape up here because I had control.
That. Yeah.
So, I mean, I found my mojo in there. So, yeah,
so
I
correct
tried
me if
some
I'm wrong. I don't know why I remember this so vividly, but you had a pair of bike knee pads that you actually glued plastic recaps to. Am I wrong on that?
No, that wasn't me.
That wasn't
But somebody
you?
did. No, it wasn't me. Somebody
Okay.
else did that. I don't remember who did that, but I remember seeing that too. I don't remember who did that.
Yeah. I could have sworn that was you. For whatever reason, I vividly remember yellow and white bike pads with white recaps on them.
I remember somebody, was that Steve Bancroft? I don't remember. I remember somebody doing something like that too, but I can't remember who did it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I can't remember. Wow. Yeah.
So as things are going, okay, you're in the hanging now, and talk about like how you like your vision of how things develop. Like when you're seeing it's like, holy shit, this is a big change through your years of the progress of Hunt and other talent and the things they were doing. Like, I mean, let's talk about that. Like how you perceived that.
Wow, just the creativity of the people that were there was pretty crazy. I mean, that's what I thought was really cool too, is being around so much creativity.
Mm-hmm.
Just taking, I mean, seriously, we given a little piece of rubber about this big to stick in our face, and it completely changed people, and it got them thinking about doing stuff that they wouldn't normally do.
Yeah.
Let's try this. Let's try this. Let's try this. Whether it's scaring people or doing something in a show that's a little bit different, how it reads on stage, or just whatever. The creativity was just nuts. That's one thing that I look back on. And like you said, out of boredom came all that stuff that they do now, and all the tricks, and it just started with a bunch of guys who were asked to be in the pit for the hanging show to help with security.
Yeah. And then it turned out to being, okay, now you guys are part of the show.
Oh, everybody worked their way into the show one way or the other. And Tom Clough saw the value in that. And I think that's why I like the guy. I know he took some, guff, but he respected the creativity. He listened to us, and he allowed certain things to happen to be allowed in the show. And he actually started writing parts for us. And I think that was great. I mean, not only was I a drummer, and I took that job serious. I mean, you get everybody, you have to go through that crowd, at least until they moved it to come into the side. We used to have to part that crowd, and that was nuts. That was so crazy.
That was before they made a procession line. You had to push people open
and move everything and go in. And some of those people, as people know, they're not exactly, how do you say it, willing to be a participant in the show. They're, some of them freak out. Some of them say, oh, look at monsters. The others are just not willing to participate.
Yeah.
So there were some crazy things in those early years, but, as it changed through the years and we got given, bigger parts in the show, and we got shown that respect from Tom Clough, that was amazing. And it was really, I thought it was an honor to be in the hanging show, to do the drum alone, but then to be asked to do parts, to take care of the stuntmen, the stunt team.
Exactly.
They trusted us.
Yeah.
I mean, here, Rob Shook is coming off the barn. I've got how many seconds with 7 other monsters. I got to get the plugs out of the ground, and we got to give him the okay that it's good to do the high fall, the high point of the show.
Yeah.
They trusted us with that. And that was, I took, the highest responsibility with that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And I was proud. I was proud of it.
Yeah. I always thought that was a big honor too,
totally
to be a part of that show.
Yeah, definitely.
It was great. Now,
those are amazing memories that to be in that show, to be treated as a cast member, not just, okay, go back on the street. you know, because
Yeah.
there was a few years where it was, you know, we'd go do it, we'd give everything, and we'd have little parts. I mean, they showed me how to do a high fall. I got to do a high fall one year as part of my gig into one of the mats coming off
cool.
stage at the beginning. You know, I
Yeah.
would have never got a chance to do that.
Yeah.
But they showed me how to do it, not hurt myself. And it was, you know, wow, okay, cool. I got to learn something from the stunt team. And matter of fact, that was Jay Mead that actually taught me that. You know, he worked with me on that.
Yeah.
And, you know, all the different things we got to do the year of, you know, working with Gino, John A, and Mikey up on the one scaffolding way up during a Santa Ana windstorm. That was exciting.
Oh, boy.
3 of the biggest guys out there on street, and then little lion me in the middle of
You're
that.
like, dude, I'm gonna fucking die. They're gonna break this rig.
Oh man, and here the wind is going. It's Santa Ana, but they went on with the show anyway. And I think it was Mikey who went up too soon, and we're all climbing up the scaffold. We're going like 10 feet in the air, 10, 15 feet. I don't remember. It was way up there though. And Mikey went to go too soon, and he backed up, and he stepped on John's fingers. John stepped on Gino's, and Gino stepped on my hand. We were all on each other's hands, and we're sitting here trying to be quiet. We're going,
Yeah.
trying to get, we're sitting there hanging in the air, you know, just funny stuff like that.
Yeah.
Hilarious.
Wow.
You know, that reminds me of a story that Gino told me about him and Jay and the hanging, where Jay is walking up the gallows and Gino's following him, and Jay's mic'd. And as they're walking up the gallows, Jay farts. And it's
I knew you were going to say that. I've heard this.
Yeah. And Gino goes, Jay. And Jay turns around. And right at that time, Gino goes, did you fart? And the mic was live. And Jay looks at the crowd and goes, I wish I would have met Jay. And it really bums me out that I never met that guy.
Yeah. Oh, that Jay Mead. If you ever wanted to laugh really, really hard, he would have been the right guy to meet, because that guy had a sense of humor on him, and just a real caring person. And wow, yeah, that I never laughed so hard as, especially those two. Gino, I mean, that guy was hilarious too. But Jay, oh my gosh, that guy was funny.
Yeah. So when did you meet Gino? I keep jumping around, I know, but it's hard not to.
No, Gino, I met my first year there when I got into mazes, because he was with Steve
87.
Gomer.
Oh, okay.
86.
No, 86, yeah.
Yeah, Steve Gomer.
That is crazy.
He was there with Steve Gomer.
Yeah, that's right. Gino is the original Thunder Jug creator.
Yes.
With his 5 gallons. Jeremy, I don't know if you know this story, dude. This was in 96. Gino and Mikey are running the streets together. And
yep, Thunder Jug.
Yeah, Gino's in the back.
Those.
Yeah, and I'm like, Gino, what the hell is that? He's like, bro, this is my Thunder Jug. You know, he's putting all this stuff in there. And then I'm out there and I hear, ooh, like that. And people screaming. I'm like, oh, shit. I go around the corner because I think it was on Schoolhouse Road. And I was going up Fog Alley, turned around and went back. And I peek around the corner and I see Gino with his hands like this over somebody going, ooh, shaking that thing over their head.
That thing, it was a Thunder Jug. That thing was so loud.
Yeah.
Oh,
so non-functional, but damn, was it good.
Yeah.
It was so loud.
Yeah.
You picked the right one. You just put everybody on the ground because you didn't know if he was going to throw it at you. It was going to scare you with a sound. It was crazy.
Yeah.
That was hilarious.
Yeah, I remember that thing.
I mean, now Thunder Jugs are a hell of a lot smaller, like 1 or 2 gallon gas cans. Like mine's a 1 gallon gas can with bearings in it. You know, I still have that to this day.
Oh, wow.
You know, because I still play Scary Guy sometimes. And,
it's funny because I look back on Haunt and I hear about, and I say, on Facebook, I got to see like when Jeff Starr got to do his last, and Paul Frechette did his last night, and I watched the big celebration, on Facebook, and it was great to see that, and this big group of them all retired, and each night, one, dude. That
was a rough night.
Yeah, that was that I got to see it, so I got to experience it from afar. I was watching it. I keep in contact with a lot of them, and just to see that, because my last year was not so ceremonious. So it was kind of like to hear you say I get to still play scary guy, man. If I could do it for one night, most certainly in my aging body would love to do it for one more night, just to get that chance to say, okay, this is my last night.
So would you be able to do a whole night though?
I think I could pull together a whole night.
Damn it, that was sarcasm. I was expecting a fuck you from you, and I didn't get it. Shit.
No, you know what? Fuck you. In retrospect, no, yeah. I get it. But in thinking, could I do it? I probably could in my way.
Yeah.
I could probably slide once. But just to have that experience, would be pretty cool. Because the way my haunt experience ended, I remember it was 2001, and it was coming up on the end of the run. It was Halloween, and I'm in warehouse P, and I get a call, and my dad goes into the hospital.
Oh shit.
And so I'm like, and I just had gotten in to like my gear. I was getting ready to go in the makeup chair, and I just went, guys, I'm out of here. Craig had come and gotten me, and he says, hey, we just got a call. You need to go. I'm like, okay. Left. So 2002 comes, go back, rehire, and getting ready. We're doing, the pre-scare night and everything, getting ready to go. And, my dad's health started to falter again. And I'm just trying to recall all the order of things. First night hits, I'm going into the makeup chair. I get a call. So instead of being Halloween in 2002, it was the first night, and I'm just starting to get my face on, and I get a call that my dad's going to the hospital again for the same issue he had the year before. It was his heart.
Dude.
And so I said, ripped it off. I'm out. And I never went back.
Wow.
I never went back.
Dude.
I took it was that thing where my dad's health came up, and it was like, wow, you know what? I'm going to stand down, take care of him, be with the family.
Yeah,
and
that's more
at
important.
that point, I just never went back.
Yeah.
But I always regret not having that time when I got to go to the back street of Ghost Town and look out and go,
right.
Adios.
Because it gave 15 years, man. That's, that's a long time to be committed, and all the great people that I got a chance to meet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And to, do that with them. And that kind of always kind of bummed me out. But, what we did, had a blast. Yeah. It was so amazing.
Yeah. One thing, Bobby, that I remember too was my first year with you guys. Now, mind you, in 96, that was the largest rookie year ever.
Oh, God, it was huge.
In history. There was over 60 of us, because that's when they decided to go to 120, something like that, for Ghost Town.
Yep.
Which is a strong number, even still to this day. They just don't have that many.
Yeah.
And I remember now Pan for Gold is back in that old spot. You remember, in that bay next to Ghost Rider?
Oh, really?
So, but it's, remember how it used to be a big open area? It looked like a small venue where somebody's talking, you can sit.
Yeah.
And we did that big ass group photo.
Mm-hmm. And dump the water down on you.
Yeah. Gino says, if I were you, I'd stand in the front. He says to me, I don't know why he told me. I guess he liked me. He's like, I don't care about anybody else, type of thing. But he's like, stand in the front, because we got something up our sleeves.
I remember that one. You earned your keep, man, with all the vets. You absolutely earned your keep, and everybody cared about Major Fanugi.
Yeah. I pushed my way in. I'm not gonna lie. I pushed and so. And
we taped you to a couple trees, and we did all kinds of stuff to you, and you were game. Like me, that my first year with the old guys, they grabbed me by my legs, tossed me in the center of the square, and did all those things to me. And I remember doing that. Absolutely.
You know what I do remember the best? And this is, I remember you vividly saying this too. This was when we went through to November 2nd.
Mm-hmm.
We were right there in the corner of the hotel, like we normally did. And I hear you say, hey, it's a rookie's birthday today. I'm like, fuck. And I started walking away. And then you saw me walking like, hey, and I just took off running. I remember that. And I made you guys earn that shit. And then you guys dunked me in the horse trough head first.
I remember that.
I remember that. I'm like, there's no fucking way I'm going to let you guys dunk me ass first.
And if you're going to do it, you're going to earn it.
Yeah, exactly. So I remember that year. I mean, fucking Todd gave me that name, Fanugi.
Uh-huh.
Major Fanugi.
Yep.
I remember going to breakfast too.
Oh.
At Denny's and just coming in the first couple times, sitting down and talking. And Scott Wright looks at me, he's like, excuse me, who are you?
Yep.
And I started talking, I was like, okay.
Yeah,
Just
exactly.
kind of
Right.
went from there. So
Yep,
again, this isn't about my history. I'm going off tangent. This is about
these are all memories. We had them together. So I mean, it's all part of it. It's like making me remember stuff. And I'm like, wow, I remember that.
There's a lot of that stuff. I mean, some of the things too that I just missed out on too that you guys did, like when Craig was still in charge of you guys, you know, when you could get away with a lot of things back then, you know, turning
not even just that.
silly string.
Yeah, well, yeah, the silly string night.
Yeah,
covering him, making him a big old ball of silly string. But you know, getting to work with him too. I got to work with Craig out on the street a little bit.
Yeah,
and actually working with the Catman, the sheriff. You know, that was a lot of fun. You know, because he was really good. He had his shtick, and he was good. He was just really good. He wasn't much for the sliding or the physical nature of it, but he entertained everybody.
Yeah.
He really entertained as a street character. And so, yeah, it was really neat to get to work with him and then have him later on as a boss, because he knew, I mean, he understood what we did, how hard we worked. And so he was that buffer between management and the PC, and then the, you know, hey, let them do their thing, you know.
It's kind of funny too, because I took a lot of cues from him when I moved into that role.
Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't the same role like him because he oversaw all the street talent, whatnot, but you know, how he ran the ship when we were all there as talent, you know, it gave me a lot of, the way my management style is influenced a lot by him.
Yeah.
Running events like that. And it's not even just at KSF, it's when I manage at other events as well.
Yeah.
You know, and that's great. But you know, what's funny is you got to work with them as the Catman, and I got to work with them as a train bandit.
Oh yeah.
I got to rob the train with him a couple times. It was really bitching.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. I forgot about that side of it too, that he did that during the day.
Yeah. He was like, I'm standing out there because I was on shift that day. I'm standing out there talking to him. He was like, you know what? I'll be right back. I'm going to go change. I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, I'm going to go change into my bandit gear. I'm like, what? He's like, oh yeah. So he went back to his office, changed up, and came back out, and we did a couple of runs, and then he went back and got back into his work clothes.
Oh, that's neat. That's cool.
It was really cool.
Fun stuff.
Yeah. You know, all those things that, you know, all the experiences you and I have had, you know, there is insane.
Oh yeah.
You know?
No, I try to lock it all down and try to, you know, you really got me thinking about stuff that I hadn't thought about in, God, years, and trying to remember, like, okay, what stories can we talk about? What memories, what moments? And I was just thinking, like you said, you know, it's about my history and stuff. And one thing about my history, I think that was unique to me, and I think more than anybody else there, is the fact that, you know, I got that part in Ghost Town second year. You know, some people got out in their first year too, but you know, I got not only out on Ghost Town, I got to be in a show. And then from there, and getting to know the entertainment office, one thing I got to do, and it even started growing more and more and more and more, was that I got to do a lot of press and PR. They started going to me to do the press and the PR stuff, and just not like the big things. Like we got to go do the shoot up at Hollywood High School for Elvira. You know, the Mark and Brian Halloween parade. That was amazing. Know, that was so much fun. We had such a blast.
Yeah, that was, you know,
such not doing that, but getting to go to all the radio stations I got to go to, and all the personalities I met, you know, from Mark and Brian to Rick Dees and his partner, and then who a big boy, and just all of them, Kevin and Bean. I got to work with all those guys, and then I got to host a radio show as a character from Haunt I got to do the corporate takeover they used to do on Kiss FM, and I've got that sound bit here on cassette tape from way back from like I think it was like 2001.
Do you
One
even
of my
have a
last
cassette
years.
player anymore?
I don't. Well, no, I do have one. But I want to get it transferred. But
Yeah.
it's me getting to do a voice character, and I got to host a radio show as a scary jock, and just get to do that was such an amazing thing. I got to give tours to, oh God, people like the Register. I've got the, articles written about Haunt with me and Wade, as we're escorting around a reporter that was put into makeup. We did that a few times. We got to do all the weather reports and the newscasts, the early morning, the late night. We would come in, and I got to do so much of that, be on all the different TV shows. That was, to me, another one of those things where I'm honored that Knott's in the PR department trusted me to represent such a historic event.
Yeah.
The Haunt was the first one, and now they're everywhere, from
all
the little
over
Haunt,
the world.
the little mall Haunt that's down here, that's more like a carny kind of Haunt, to houses that are taken over and people just doing it for a couple nights, to and advertising it in the neighborhood, to these huge amusement park ones. It's
insane.
Knott's was the first. And so for them to trust me doing that, and they had big ones, small ones, everything in between. I mean, that to me, I always took as very special, and I carried that with me a long time.
It is a very special thing that you're able to do stuff like that. You're thinking, oh, I'm just here to have fun and be a scary guy for Halloween Haunt, and not, which they don't even use the term Halloween Haunt anymore. It's not Scary Farm now. But it's like we say that, and that's from our roots,
Yeah.
But it's like you're thinking, oh, I'm just gonna do this and be scary guy for them, and then they start calling you, hey, you want to go and do this and represent us? It's surreal.
It is.
To be able to do that. I know they do a lot of stuff in house now, like they do commercials on site, stuff like that.
Yeah, I've seen some of those.
Yeah, but what's funny is, I'm going to backtrack a little bit here, is some of your history is very parallel to mine, especially when you came out the streets. Like, you came out the streets your first year, you got makeup and you got the show. The same thing happened to me year 2. I started in 96 when I had a mask. Year 2, Craig called me, offered me makeup, and put me in the hanging with you guys.
Yep.
So it was like it's kind of weird how it's we
it's
parallel like that. Yeah. And
almost
I don't know
10
if
years
you know,
apart. Yeah, 10 years apart too.
Yeah, because you started in 86 and I started in
96.
And it's funny, is because you got on streets in 87 and got makeup and the show. I got makeup in the show in 97.
Yep, 10 years apart. Our exact same path, as we were identical coming up. And
I didn't even know that until just now.
Right, neither did I. I didn't even know that either. It just I'm like, wow, 10 years apart, lock stepped in. Yep, same way.
You know what Craig was going to give me at first? His costume. He was going to put me in the Phantom of the Opera costume.
Oh, really?
And he calls Wade. He's like, oh yeah, Dieterman's on board, and this one I'm gonna put him in. And he's like, and Wade's all, wait, you're gonna put him in a Phantom costume? He's like, yeah. He's like, you want that thing destroyed? He's like, he's gonna slide and tear that thing up. Yeah.
No.
So he calls me back 10 minutes later. He's like, so I'm gonna give you a different costume. He's like, Wade just informed me that you're gonna slide, and I'm like, yeah. And he's like, yeah, we don't want to destroy that costume, so we'll put you in jeans.
Exactly.
So, but some of those
funny
memories, like you're talking about, is there's a lot of things like we did that Mark and Brian parade together. I remember it's me, you, Wade, Todd,
Scott, Keith. Tweak, yep.
Keith. I remember having a call time so early that we couldn't get our makeup taken off the night before.
Yeah, we stayed in it.
Yeah, and then
all
we
night
drove
long
down
in the
there.
hotel.
Yeah, and then when we get to the event in Orange, I'm sleeping on the cold cement because I was so tired. Somebody got a picture of it, and I don't know where it went.
Oh man.
Yeah. So but stuff like that, and then like you got to do a radio DJ thing. I actually back then I did a lot of soundbite voiceover stuff for Knott's.
Oh wow.
So it's crazy, dude. There's so much parody.
Yeah.
with
Yeah,
how
we came up the same way, 10 years apart. Yep. Identical, really.
yeah, it's crazy, you know. So, but as you started going through the seasons, you know, like obviously after I met you, you're starting to get to the end of your career. Was there a point in time you're like, no, I'm done. I think this is my last year, even though I know you said it was a pretty shitty ending for you, but was
Yeah.
there an end in sight for you?
You know, it's funny. It's right around, I would say 2000. I started saying, well, I wonder if I'll make it next year. I wondered, you know, you start to wonder because I mean, Haunt was, remember, think back to my first descriptions, 8 nights.
Yeah.
You came in, you auditioned. I wasn't even on a show. You showed up for your dress rehearsal night to get your costume, make sure everything was good, look around the park, right?
Yep.
And then boom, you're on.
Yep.
There at the end, I know we weren't doing as much in the hanging show. Like the last 2 years, we weren't in the hanging. The last couple years, I think.
Yeah, we were still there, but not as active.
Right, not as active because of the new regime
Yeah.
change. But I think right around 90, well, 98, 99, right around that, we were still in the show. We started Haunt. The people that were in the show and really active, we started in August.
Yeah, late August.
We started in August doing
rehearsals
for that.
Yeah.
You know, because we were such a big part of it. The show was such a production by that point. So realistically, Haunt for us, August all the way to November.
Yep. That's insane.
I mean,
2.5 months almost.
Yeah. So our Halloween was, you know, big time. I mean, it was so long. So yeah, there toward the end, you know, there was like, wow, am I going to be able to make that kind of commitment next year? Because you start thinking about, you know, wife, kids, you know, your work, will work let me off, you know, that kind of thing. So yeah, it was always kind of a moment to moment thing. And, you know, at the time too, you remember thinking back on the outside, not only did I have my job, I was also a full-time musician too. Yep. And I was doing a lot of playing around and traveling and doing all this other stuff. You know, something's got to give sooner or later. So did I want it to be Haunt? No, but I also said, you know, at that point I had 13, 14, 15 years of doing it. And at that point you start looking around going, well, the younger kids are coming up. You know, it's that age old thing, you know, whether you're in movies or you do music or you do park entertainment or whatever, the new kids are coming in and they're doing, and to admit it, they're doing it better than you did it. Yeah. They took what you did and they built on it, and to be happy with that. And so I think that's probably one of the reasons why I finally said, you know what, I got to be with my family. I did this. I was allowed to do this for so long, and I have such amazing experiences. I've got these things I can show my daughter, you know. Yeah. Look, there's your dad in makeup. Look at this movie. Check this out, you know. And I get to show those videos, the DVDs to people, and, you know, show them that history of it. And, you know, those are great. That made it all worth it. So yeah, toward the end, I started thinking about it, you know, going
like, well, maybe another year, maybe not.
Yeah. It went year to year. And so 2002, I came back, and actually I'd already thought about it, that 2002 was probably going to be the swan song year, that I was going to say, you know what, this is going to be the last hurrah. Because a lot of the stuff that I really enjoyed doing, again, the new kids were coming up. Yeah. So the PR stuff was being handled by other people at that point. I had a long stretch, like 10 years where I did that.
Yeah.
Where I did all the PR for them. They'd always call me first.
Yeah.
And doing all those shows and meeting all those people and getting to do Haunt and do the special tours and meet and greets, you know, like with Kobe Bryant when he was there that night. I got to do a special meet and greet with him, you know, something I'll never forget. And just all the different people I got to meet. Weird Al Yankovic, Elvira. You start going, you know what? I've done just about everything I can do here.
Yep.
And all these new guys are doing it. It's time to hang it up. And I was getting there. I was probably, like I said, in that last year. And if it wasn't for my dad's health, I probably would have made it through that year and said, okay, last night, this is it.
I'm done. Yeah.
I'm done tonight. Who wants any of my gear? You know, that kind of thing.
I'm like, hell no. I know what that's been through and what it smells like.
It smells like, man, I don't want that. I'll take the duct tape.
Yeah. You know, that's the thing too, is like, I mean, you don't realize, but all of us first generation guys, there's a legacy that's been left behind that we don't realize until we really start thinking about it. There's a lot of people that now they're like, oh, they remember what we brought to the table back then, and like you said, they're building on that to make it better and better, which I think is awesome to see. I mean, like I was telling you, I run a team now. I have a team, and it's the slider team out of Queen Mary. And Dark Harbor hasn't been there for 2 years now. This is going on year 3. And last year, over half my team went to Knott and worked. And almost every single one of them was in Carnival. I had 2 in Ghost Town, and they all absolutely crushed it.
Oh, I bet.
I mean, I got word from it. I when I went in, I reached out to the heads and talked to them. Hey, where are you? And before I could even say anything, they're like, any person that you want to send our way, we'll take them. Nice. Because every one of your guys are absolutely killing it. And that's nice to hear that, these guys are, first of all, they're taking what they know, and then what they're learning, and they're building on that, and they're going to another event and absolutely crushing it, but also representing themselves in a positive light.
Absolutely.
And that's always been a big thing for me, even when I was at Knott's, is because how all the animosity was, right? Especially between Ghost Town and the Gauntlet for a long time.
Oh man, I hated that.
Me too.
Oh, I hated that with a passion. That's why I got sick of it that one night. And there were some people that were mad at me for that. That's back when they did their parade.
Yeah.
And
the
death march. And I thought that was cool, that cool thing. And, they wanted to break down the walls of animosity from the different sections. And I was all for it. And at that point in time, that's when I started playing hockey with a bunch of those guys over there.
Yeah.
And so,
because that's when you and I were playing together too.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I said, to heck with this, man. I don't care if people are ticked off, and I remember everybody being so mad about that. And I thought that was a cool thing they wanted to bring us in on, is their death march. I said, let's do it. And it was crazy to think that there was this separation at that point in time. So I remember I crossed the picket line and I took my snare drum over there that one last night. And I just said, to heck with this, man. I'm going to do the death march with them. And I got with their snare drummer.
Yeah.
And we talked it out. I said, you lead, I'll follow, that kind of thing. And I got to lead their death march. Again, that was another one of those things that, until you just said that, about the animosity between the sections, that just totally brought back that memory.
Yeah.
I said, to heck with this. And it was funny because Ghost Town didn't take necessarily part in it, but they followed along.
Yeah.
They came with, and they walked alongside and kind of joined in. They tipped their, they wanted to see how management was going to react. They wanted to see how things were going to transpire. But that was it there toward the end, when I was just like, no, come on, man. We're just having fun here. Let's entertain people. Let's just do this, and let's all come together and make it a bigger haunt, better haunt. And to do that, I wish I would have started doing it with them earlier. I really do, and then them bringing the parade all the way through Ghost Town. I thought that was really cool. I like that.
And it finished in the square, right?
In the square.
Stage. Yeah.
Right.
See, that's one thing too, is like when I already knew that was apparent before I came in, because I could see it backstage before I came to Ghost Town. But once I saw that, I was like, this is stupid. And I was always a proponent of trying to create a stronger community. Yep. Because when you look at it, I still try that today, but when you look at it, it's a big industry, but it's still pretty small in the world of things. So it's like, dude, we all got to be supporting each other, get rid of the bullshit.
We have fun with what we do, but remember what you do is you make people happy. And why should there be a separation between us because our costumes are different? I mean, how ridiculous is that? That's almost like a art imitating life kind of thing, where we're dealing with these bigger world problems. With what we do, we should be, focusing on us and entertaining people, and the people that want to get scared or even just have a laugh. You got to entertain them too, So it's like, you know, there's no room for animosity in this job. You know, just go have fun, do your thing, put it in the back seat. You know what? If you want to be political, you do that on Monday morning. You know, go vote for your D or your R. You go do your politics, your separation, your animosity then. But right now we're scaring the crap out of people and we're going to have fun doing it.
Exactly.
You
That's
know?
what I was always about, having a good time. I mean,
Right.
you know, you just get to the point, it's like, dude, I just want to go be scary guy, have a good time, you know, and
Exactly.
have fun with my friends. You know, bonus, we're getting paid.
Exactly.
You know, but if you think of it that way, like when we started, it was like $4 an hour we were making, right?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah. So everything we made went back into equipment.
Yeah, I say if you made money that month, I'd be stunned.
Exactly.
With food and equipment and everything else.
Yeah. You know, and that's like, for me, at the end of a run, within the next 2-3 weeks after the end, I'm already looking at my gear. I was already looking at my gear to see what I need to fix, so I make sure I had plenty of time to be ready for the next season.
Oh yeah.
You know.
Yeah, you had that like little downtime, get through the holidays, then January hits.
Yeah.
Time to crack it open.
Yeah.
Starting to start thinking about what can I do different? What do I need to repair?
Yeah.
You know, what am I going to try this year?
Yep.
What's new? That kind of thing.
That's what I thought every year. You know, how am I gonna, one, do something better, raise the bar, two, continue to be able to do what I do for a longer time period and reduce my injuries.
Oh yeah.
You know, the possibility of injuries, you know. So
oh yeah.
But that whole animosity part, I know we've been talking about it, but the animosity part, it's still there today. It's just not as prevalent.
I hope so. You know, I hope it's taken a back seat.
Yeah, it has. You see a lot more support now, especially cross-pollination with other events, you know, with like Six Flags people came down here and worked, you know, came and supported, you know, their friends at Scary Farm and vice versa. Like,
I see, that's great.
Yeah, I have some great friends that work out of Six Flags, and they were the only ones this year that had a slider show, and it was a great show.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So, you know, so it's
got
good
to go back after so many years to see what's going on now. It would be something I may have to try and plan an October trip out to you know, what's so funny is it just made me remember the last time I was at Haunt. Last time I tried to do anything Halloween was I think let's see, God, how long have I been here? I think back in 2017 or 18. Okay. I tried to go to Queen Mary, but we couldn't get in.
Wow. Bless you.
Sorry about that. Tried to get the thing over there. We couldn't get in. We got stuck on the road leading in. It was so packed.
Wow.
And we couldn't even get in. We just looked at each other and went, oh, hell with it. Let's go home.
Yeah. You know, 2018, if you would have made it, I would have saw you because I was there that year.
I think that was the year that we were trying to get in.
Yeah. 17, I was living on the East Coast.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So. Yeah, I had never been to Queen Mary, and I'd always wanted to go, and we were gonna finally go, and I was so bummed. I was so mad. I was like, oh.
Yeah. It's a bummer that it's not gonna happen this year. There's no word yet, but it's just so late in the game now. It's like there's no time to build it all, but the ship is going through, you know.
Oh yeah, the big renovations. Right, yeah, I heard about that.
So, you know, it's like, okay, you can use a footprint, but you're gonna lose 3 mazes.
Yeah.
You know, the footprint's not big enough to move those out.
Yeah.
You know, but when things like started changing a lot was with the animosity things, and really people started understanding, hey, you know, we are a big community. Let's support each other. I look at it as, when I saw a big shift is when we did the first group, United show, slider show at Dark Harbor in 2016. Yeah. Wow. That was a big move. Like we had KSF, Queen Mary, Decay Brigade, Universal. We were trying to get guys from Six Flags, but we didn't know anybody there at the time.
Oh, wow.
And it's funny too, because now the guys that were there, I know them really well. They're friends of mine, and like, yeah, we were told afterwards, like, oh, we didn't know anybody there, or else we would have called and had you guys come down too.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. But that was, dude, that was an amazing show. I mean, it was a Wednesday night and we sold it out.
Oh man.
Yeah.
See, and I'm listening to you describe that, and all I do is, on the inside right now, I'm just smiling, and I'm thinking back to that young the 17, 18-year-old. So and I'm sitting there thinking about, okay, putting this bike pad on and tying up the cheesecloth. I'm sitting here listening to you describe this big show with all these different amusement parks.
Yeah.
And I can't help but smile.
Right.
I can't help but smile and just think, God, where did that come from?
Exactly. Well, here's the thing. Like, you know Lee Cooper, right? You remember him, right? Evil?
Yeah.
He worked in the swamp with Anthony.
Okay.
Okay, so he went to Queen Mary, and the year after he went, he and I started talking about trying to do that. And this was early 2000s. It took us 10 years to get it to come to fruition. He comes in one day in 2016, beginning of the run, and he finds me and he says, so you know that thing we've been trying to do for all these years? I said, yeah. He's like, it's happening. I'm like, what? He's like, it's happening. I need you. So, you know, it's like, okay, let's talk tomorrow and we'll start hashing out the details. And that's how it went.
Wow.
Yeah. That's one of those things, at least in my career, is a huge light. Like, I think that was a huge accomplishment for at least, you know, for part of my career. Is like, you know, we've been able to put something like that together and break boundaries, break down walls, you know. So, and inspire other people to do other things.
It's crazy too, because, you know, Knott's was the only game in town for, I can't remember how many years.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember Universal tried for a few years to come in, and then they disappeared, and then they came back stronger than ever. And that's, you know, Hollywood Horror Nights. That's when it grabbed and it took off.
Yeah.
But I remember those first few years. I mean, we even wrote in jokes about them into the shows.
Yeah.
They grabbed one of their posters. I'll never forget it. Jay Mead, at the beginning of the hanging, he used to go, silence, you know, and then fire the shotgun. Right.
Yeah.
And I'll never forget the one year people from Universal came down to watch what we do. And they took one of their Universal Halloween posters. And when he went silence, they opened it up real quick and he fired it, went boom, and blew the poster all to hell in front of everybody during the hanging show.
Man.
You want to talk about animosity?
Yeah. Oops.
Yeah. And I don't remember. I mean, do you remember the year we went up as a huge group? Again, we were trying to break those barriers down.
That was 97.
Yeah. We went up as a huge group and we come in there. We're wearing all of our haunt gear. Oh, and the biggest thing was, I remember them, and it was kind of a bummer, but I got it. But I mean, you wanted to be scared. I mean, I think all of us knew in our hearts, we wanted it. It's like, hey, you're one of us kind of thing.
Yeah.
And we wanted to go and have a good time, but they would go, huh, and they'd look and they'd see all of our haunt gear in our huge group, and they'd be like, and they would back up.
Yeah. It's like, no, scare us.
No, come on. You know, let us see it.
Yeah,
and
I think that was either 97 or 98 when we all went in that big old gaggle.
Big, huge group of us. And I'll never forget that. It's just like, wow, that whole poking at each other and that whole thing has gotten to be such a big thing between the parks that it's just like, it stops them from being them and doing their thing. And it was so negative. It was such a bummer. So to hear you say that it's just all of them coming together and doing this thing, that's really, really cool, because,
yeah,
you know, from a business side, the parks are in competition with each other for the dollar, you know, and they want that Halloween dollar. But the fact that all the people, the entertainers that get out there and bust it, they came together, and that's neat to hear.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. Not going to lie.
Yeah, that'd be neat to see.
Moment. Yeah. And, you know, that for me, it was like, that was a stepping stone for me to start working there, you know, because that's when I met my boss there, David. Amazing guy. You know, so you've been gone for a long time, Bobby.
Oh, man, have I ever?
Yeah.
You know, yeah, you know, like I said, I try to follow it on Facebook, and, you know, I saw that, you know, to be involved in the movie and then get to go to that Halloween event up in Pasadena and be a part of that. And, you know, that kind of brought me back in, and to see what it is now. I was even at that convention, just kind of, wow, you know, just kind of blown away at what the, you know, Halloween, the haunt industry has become.
How it's evolving. Yeah.
how it's evolved into this huge thing. And again, you see it, but when you see it in person and you're there and you're in it and you just soak it all in, you're like, wow,
Yeah.
you know, it was pretty neat to see. And then to hear what you've accomplished and what others have accomplished with what we started with, 4 or 5 nights.
Yeah.
So only game in town, it's pretty,
single digit haunt event. And now it's freaking,
the kid that started with his buddies in like 6th grade at a haunted house in his front yard.
Yeah.
Going
it's funny too, because I just realized that that's how I started too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, me and my dad, we did a haunted house, a haunted front yard. Like we built a coffin and headstones out of cardboard, and
we did the same thing.
Wrangled up so you get it.
Oh yeah.
Damn, dude, there's so much parallel.
It is.
From how we started.
It is.
So here's something. So you're into Halloween. Do you like horror movies too? Like, are you super into them, or is it like, I can take it or leave it type of thing?
Oh heck, no, those are always my first choices to go to when
okay.
I wait for those to show up in the theater. I wait for the previews of the movies. I belong to a Facebook app that sends me the horror movies.
Oh, shit.
I watch them on Netflix. It could be Christmas Eve. I'll be like, let's watch a horror flick. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, those tends to go hand in hand. But
right,
I have spoken with some people where they're like, no, I'm not a fan of horror movies. I'm like, really? But they like being the scary guy, girl, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
So
right.
It's just one of those things, but it's awesome to hear you coming on and talking about the history of things from your perspective, because obviously I was there in your years too, but your perspective is different than what mine is now because I'm still going through it.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? And I've seen a lot of the evolution, one thing I was going to ask you too was like, I know you were you still there when Cedar Fair took over the ownership of the park, or did you leave just before that?
No, I was there. Cedar Fair was still, they'd come in.
Okay. So did you feel like a big shift when that happened as far as how things were run?
Oh yeah. I mean, naturally, I got to meet the original Knott family.
Yeah. See, I never got that. You lucky.
I got to actually meet the, original, the group of them that sold it to the different groups. So, having, they used to come in every year. They loved the hanging show. They loved the whole scaring thing. And they used to come in as a big group of them. Remember, God, Mrs. Knott, or her daughter or something like that came forever. Just seeing all the different people and getting to meet them in the family. So, that was another memory, getting to see them every Halloween time. And they used to come and, greet the hanging cast and want to take pictures with all of us. So, but yeah, there was a definite shift to a more corporate vibe.
Yeah.
Not that the Knott family didn't run it corporate. It really changed, and some of it for the better, but I also know, like with anything else, you get used to seeing certain things there.
Yeah.
I missed the haunted shack, dang it. I missed that. That's my Knott's Berry Farm from not just haunt, but from growing up.
Yeah.
I went there all the time. I took my daughter, we had passes. So there were certain things at Knott's that are Knott's.
Yeah.
And they're not there now.
That's a staple. Yeah. What's there now? The new Calico stage.
Yeah, the new stage. I remember seeing that. I think the last time I was actually in Knott's was just before we left California to come. So I think 2018, because I ran into Craig there then too, and we took a picture together. So I took my daughter and we went and spent the day at Knott's Berry Farm and stuff. And that's my Knott's growing up. So when Cedar Fair took that all away, for what better or for worse, business decisions, and that's same thing with haunt when Cedar Fair took it over.
Mm-hmm.
It goes more corporate, certain things kind of lose, but they're in the business to make money, right?
Yeah.
Right. It's not to like cater to my childhood.
Yeah. Our childhood,
our childhood. Yeah.
There's a lot of things like, wow, I say the same thing. It's like, I wish that was still here.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I'm not gonna lie, like you got mazes like the Bates Motel, which were a massive part of that was black walls, right?
Uh-huh.
But it was long and the talent in there was spot on every time I went through it. That was my favorite attraction as a guest. I don't know why that is, but it just is. Maybe it's because it was long, you know?
Yeah, that was they always had a good maze in there. It was a good natural spot to put a maze. I mean, again, that was my maze.
Yeah.
You know, when I
Third
started too, it
dimension.
was always, I mean, we had a complete swamp in there.
Yeah.
Forest and a swamp my year in there. And it had no real rhyme or reason the year I did it. We just had a bunch of scary rooms and did everything. But when Bates Motel kind of themed it, and that was forever Bates
Ish.
Motel ish. Yeah, themed ish. More of a theme than when we, you know, third dimension. Okay, a forest and a swamp. What do we got going on here? I don't even know.
Yeah.
But you know, I mean, I remember going, you know, being shoved in that dang clown maze every year, and everybody knew my fear of clowns, and they used to pick on me for that. That was another funny memory that I used to have too. They used to always, you know, say, you know, hey, we're gonna put you in the clown maze. They drag me over there. They'd have the clowns come over and used to poke fun at me. And still to this day, I don't like clowns. Everybody knows it.
Well, you know, Frances is the same way.
Yep.
She hates them.
Yep.
Them. I just broadcasted that. That's going out on the web.
Yeah. And she's gonna poke you. I'm gonna poke you. Everybody knows, hey, we're freaked out of clowns. But hey, Uncle Ernie's Madhouse. I absolutely understand. That was a good scare for a lot of people, and that was a traditional stop for a lot of people.
Exactly.
You know, Vampire's Lair.
Dude, Lair of the Vampire. That was the first maze I did.
Yes.
I started in the mine ride.
Oh wow, yeah.
Yeah, in
Mine
90,
ride.
and then moved into Lair of the Vampire for the duration of that.
Yep.
So that was 3 or 4 years. Then I got to go into auto race. Gasoline Alley. That was another good one.
Yeah, that was a good one. I remember
attraction.
that one. And the
Yeah.
thing that was one of those offshoot things is later on, my niece actually worked haunt for a couple of years, so she knows some of the people there.
Wow.
Yeah, so she was at Sage Newman. She was in there for several years. I think she worked at like 2 years.
Okay.
So I got to see her work in haunt too. So that was kind of cool. Another little memory that just sparked when you said auto race, because that's where she was on that side over there.
Yeah.
So yeah, God, so many memories come out of nowhere.
I know.
And the thing is too, it's like we've talked about so many of the people that were around haunt, but the makeup artists too.
Oh God, yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Mel, when she was running the show right under Abel.
She took care of me. I was going through one of those hard times in life, and man, Mel put her arm around me, and boy, she took care of me.
Yeah.
Shit, what a great human being. And you know,
100%.
again, one of that group that we lost that was just, you know, so amazing. You know,
Yeah.
and then my makeup artists over the year, Lynn Andrews, Ed, that's who I sent the picture. Ed, you know, was my makeup artist for a lot of the years of the Lion.
Yeah.
And he really,
when we were in the narrow corridor of makeup artists.
Exactly. You know, Andy Armando Creeper, one of the early makeup artists from a long time ago. He had his own character that did comedy shtick.
Was that the guy with the long blonde hair, super thin?
Yep.
Drove the hearse.
Yep. The gold hearse.
Him. Yes.
Andy.
Yeah.
And you know, and his character Armando Creeper was his character, and he did stand-up comedy as a monster, and it was just really funny. But he did makeup for us during the year, and just all those people that you come in contact that were part of that story for that period of time. There were so many makeup artists that are behind the scenes that need some love as well. You know?
No, I agree. I mean, it's funny because you and I have had some of the same makeup artists. I had Lynn also, amazing artist, and then I had Mel too. So
she did my makeup one year.
Yep. So I was fortunate to theoretically she's like, you're in my chair whether you like it or not, type of thing. And I'm like, okay, I'm good with that.
Yep, absolutely. You know? Don't twist my arm.
Yeah. So it's there's just so many things we could talk about that.
Practical jokes.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
Please talk about the garlic. Practical joke.
Everybody still knows that one.
Oh God.
You know what?
When you guys told me about that, I lost my shit.
All right.
And who got blamed for it?
Oh, I'll go through the whole thing and I'll drop names. So, you know, I always was really pretty good at coming up with practical jokes and bringing a lot of people in with me, but yet pushing them forward in front of me.
Yeah.
I was always pretty good at that. You know, one of those being the sticky tabs on Trisha's truck.
Yes.
That one, I got a lot of people involved. Or the time that Kathleen Price, makeup artist, said, "Here, can you do me a favor and move my car for me?" And I went, "Sure." And I ended up driving it to the very back of the employee lot. And they were still building the big roller coaster accelerator. Is that what it's called?
The one that's there now.
Yeah. They were building accelerator and all the parts of it were in the back. And I put their car way in the back behind all the big pieces of accelerator so they couldn't see it. And I went back because they were parked in a bad spot. They thought I was just going to move it to carpool.
Yeah, no.
And they didn't realize it until we got out that night. And they were like, "Wait, where's our car?" They look right over at me kind of thing. And so I always pulled practical jokes on people. So I had the idea sitting there, Freddy Krueger in the hanging, Robert Shook at the time.
Yep.
He had this big one piece they slid over his head and glued. Yeah. And Edward Garcia, my makeup artist, was his makeup artist too. And he had his right after my makeup. So we got it together that we were going to put garlic.
Hang on a sec, dude.
Uh-huh.
Okay, there we go. I had to switch earpieces.
Yeah, no problem.
There you go.
So we got the idea that we were going to put garlic in his mask, right? So Heidi Schammel, who, again, another one, God rest your soul, loved her. She went up and she went to Steakhouse and didn't just get garlic. She got the liquid, juicy stuff out of the can.
Minced
garlic with all the juice. Yeah. And so I'm like, yes. So dumped it all inside the mask, around the nose, under the eyes, around the mouth, the whole face piece, basically. And Ed got the glue together. The whole makeup room, if it wasn't for the haunt funk, would have smelled like a garlic factory. And you could smell it through, and we're just sitting there going, "Man, this is going to totally give it up. Oh my God. We're going to be so caught." But it started to kind of clear out.
Yeah.
So I'm sitting there and just kind of pretending to do my wig and to do whatever I was doing, tie my headband and get everything ready. And Heidi's just sitting there and she's giggling. And here comes Robert Shook in, and I look over at Ed and he looks over at me and he's just kind of smiling and he goes, "Okay." And he takes it, he sits down, they do their talking. So he goes, "Okay, ready to go?" And he goes, "Yep." And he sits back and he gets it right above his head. And you hear Shook go, "Wait a minute." Boom. And as soon as he said, "Wait a minute," Ed realized, he's onto something.
Yeah.
So he slams it down and pushes the glue. Because can't
go nowhere.
He's been heating it up, so it's ready to go. Connected it and pushed it really quick around on his head because they had that thing glued to his entire head. He's all,
"Oh yeah,
what?" And he's just sitting in the chair and he's like, and eyes started watering, and he's sitting there cracking up, and Ed's going, what? Totally playing it off, and I'm sitting there going, trying not to laugh.
Right.
At the time, my partner was Wade Gordon, the Green Goblin.
Mm-hmm.
He comes in the warehouse looking for me because I'm late pulling this stunt. He comes in, he's all, "Hey, what's up?" And Shook turns around and goes, "You," and points right at Wade. And he's all, What? Tearing out a warehouse. Wade goes running out of the warehouse, and I'm sitting there going, I look at Heidi and I go, yes, he thinks it's him. But it gets better. He's chasing him around all over everywhere. So I finally get out to the street. Everybody's cracking up in pee. So here we go. I go out in the street and I find Wade. He's all, what did you do? And I go, kind of caught him up, and he's all, and he thinks you did it. And he's all, thanks. He goes, I'll play it up, but thanks. Yeah. Now, Robert Shook is a smoker, everything. So what did he do? He goes, all right, I'm starting to get used to this. So he just went crazy smoking, got black coffee, started eating onions. He started just doing whatever, because as Freddy Krueger during the show, he's got a lot of fight scenes with a lot of the stunt team to where he'd have to pull him right up to his face and do the Freddy laugh, that ha, 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 ha. Yeah. Well, guess what he smelled like? Blowing on their face. So during every single haunt, every single hanging that night, you see Gino England going like this. Like this, and they're trying to get away from him, and he's like leaning over. You see all these people, Jay Mead, everybody's just kind of going, they're coming up to fight with him, and they'd be like this. They're trying to stay away from him, and they're like, he stinks at this point. Now you got Haunt Funk coming in, you got garlic, onions, all this stuff. It took them years. They never knew I did it, but Shook blamed and got everybody on the team. He got Wade involved. It was one of the funniest things that everybody was laughing about. And I don't think until, I would say, one of our random reunions, I actually came clean on that one. Everybody was going, you did that? I'm like, yep.
You know how great it would be to have Shook on here to talk about that? That would be, oh my God. Awesome.
That would be. But that was one of those, that type of fun is why you went back and why you did it every year and what made it so much fun.
Yeah. And then who took over for him? A guy named Rich. Mark Schaefer was after Rich.
Oh, that's right.
Or there was maybe
1 year, I think, that we had another.
So
that's right.
Were you there? Were you there when Mark Schaefer had an oops with a blood cannon?
Oh yeah. The Nutcracker.
Oh my God. Yeah. That's right. Because we gave him a Nutcracker.
We gave him a Nutcracker
at the
Krueger
cast party. Oh my God, dude.
Yep. Yeah. That made all of us just, oh man, poor guy.
Felt bad for him, guy. But the fact that he's like, don't take my makeup off, I'm gonna go back and finish the show. He goes to emergency with all of his shit on still.
Yeah.
All of his makeup and everything. And we ended up not being able to do the show because he didn't make it back in time.
No. No. And that's fine. He was a trooper with it. And, but we felt so bad. It was just wrong place, wrong time.
That was a rough year for him though, too, because wasn't that the same year Mr. Hankey was in the show?
Yep.
Where he got stuck in the thing and tripped on
ate it. Yeah.
Yeah. I went airborne trying to do this, and we're on the ground in front laughing our asses off at him.
Yep.
Also, I think that was the same year we had all the stilt people came out, and he was one of the stilt people that came out, or was that another year?
Oh man.
Because in rehearsal, remember, he was walking on him, he tripped, and he was doing this, and he fell face first.
Yep. Oh man.
We're all laughing at him.
Yeah, Klutziest stuntman at Knott's, but he was good. But he was good though. I mean,
love that guy,
they put him in some awkward positions, so I mean, he pulled it through.
Yeah,
but good guy though.
He actually went back and started. He was actually supervisor for the stunt team at Knott's a few years back. I think I want to say it was around 15, 16 maybe. I went to go see Dave Bowman, and he's like, "Hey, Schaefer's here." I'm like, "What?" And 5 minutes later, he comes walking in the back, because I was in Dave's office with him, comes walking in the back door to the Wild West Stunt Show. And he walks up and goes, "Schaefer." And he looks at me, and I go, "It's Dieterman." And he's like, "Holy shit." So I got to talk to him for a little bit.
Wow.
I haven't seen him since though. I know you have stories that I don't even remember. I don't know if you can think of them. that you want to bring up in this, you know, because dude, there's so much history there, that there's so many things that you and I have done, like in the group that we had, that I can't even remember. You know, I just remember they're all super good times.
Yeah. I mean, the biggest thing was, again, just the family and just the connections you made with people early on. I think that's what it really, when you stripped it all the way, including the makeup on the face, it was the people you worked with that made it what it was when it really came down to it. And of course, all the fans, you know, that come in and, you know, want to experience haunt and be scared, you know, have that thrill or have that laugh and see their buddy or their girlfriend scared, you know, some of the greatest scares I had, some of the funniest memories I have, you know, walking down the street, and, you know, you see this guy and he tells you, hey, scare my girl. Then you know, I take off my glove and I go in there and I put my hand inside of hers and start walking with her, because she's so scared and looking around that she doesn't even realize or feel me switch hands.
Yeah.
And I'm holding, and he peels back, and I'm sitting there and I'm just kind of looking at her, holding her hand, waiting for her to turn. She turns and she beelines and runs right into a pole, you know. You know, you get things like that. The scares, you know, seeing people crawl up, like be so scared, you slide at them, they crawl up in the air over their significant other and fall down the other side.
Yeah.
You know, all those situations. I think one of the coolest things one of those cool haunt memories was, you talk about generation to generation, and maybe this will be a story to end it on. I'll never forget being at haunt, and I don't know where this kid is at. I don't know whatever happened to him, but I remember this one little boy, and I wish I could remember his name. He came every year, and the kid wasn't scared, and he wanted to see me, and he knew everybody. He knew the goblin, he knew all of us. And, you know, we used to get down there and, you know, take off our gloves, shake hands with them. And, you know, we knew we couldn't scare him, but this kid was fearless for someone his age. I mean, he probably was 5, 6 years old. And I'll never forget this one particular year, his mom brought him in, and he goes, he wants to show you guys something.
I remember this kid.
He brought in his own knee pads and his own gloves that he made, and he wanted to slide for us.
I remember this kid. He came backstage.
He did. We got him. We took him on a tour backstage. And he put on his little sliding show for us. I mean, this is probably 4th, 5th year. I mean, he's grown up. He started coming really tiny. So he's probably 8 now?
Yeah.
Maybe.
That kid was rad.
I want to know where that kid is at. So if you're watching this podcast,
we don't remember your name, but this might be a selling point.
This might be you.
Yes.
This might be you. You're watching. I would love to see what you're doing now. If you're working a haunt event, or if it was just one of those cool memories of your life. But that was a touching one that was just like, you know, all I do is do this for a few nights a year for fun. And again, you know, I've signed autographs, and it's always struck me as weird, but, you know, I know it means something to somebody.
Yeah.
You know, I've signed posters, I've signed this, I've signed that, taken a lot of photos. But that one kid showing us how proud he was that he slid. And I think I can't remember who it was. It was maybe Todd. He hammed it up in Todd's way, like when he slid, and he like jumped like he was scared, and he just laughed. And that was the greatest thing ever. And I think that was one of those memories, as long as my mind works right, that's one of those memories I'll take with me.
Do you remember that when his parents came and talked to us, they showed us his gloves, and he had pennies glued to the fingers?
Little pennies. Yeah, they were so
pennies.
tiny.
Like, they keep coming off, and, you know, and like that. Once you said this kid, and he came back, immediately that struck that memory in me too.
Yeah.
You know, it's so awesome to see that. That would be awesome if that kid reached out to us, like, I'm that kid.
Yeah.
You know,
if he, and my memory's a little fuzzy, so it's like, you know, hey, it happens to the best of us, right? We're getting older.
Yeah.
But yeah, that kid really struck a chord with me, and I've always carried him with me. I thought that was one of those cool moments.
Yeah.
that, him coming back all those years and then him showing up with slider gear.
Yeah.
I thought that was just so neat. So neat.
The thing that, we inspire these kids from such a young age, and it's funny too, is like, for me, the kids that I saw too, like they are now some like that, they are now working haunts, some at Knotts, and they're like, we remember you when we came as guests, and we watched you work, and it's crazy. It's one of the biggest moments for me on that scenario was when I went to Florida to train a new team out there for Dark Horizon. And this guy's a good friend of mine now. He lives out there now, but he grew up in Huntington Beach.
Okay.
And as we were going through a week of training, he talks to me. He's like, dude, I totally remember you. I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, I grew up in HB. Me and my dad used to go to haunt every year. And I remember you vividly in the pre-show for the hanging. We came and watched you guys every single year. I'm like, are you shitting me? He's like, no, dude. I go, thanks for making me feel fucking old.
Exactly.
And he started laughing. But yeah, it's funny because now he works for Orange County Fire Authority in Florida. Yeah. So, and he's a big haunt guy out there. He's worked he's been on both the teams I've trained out there. He works horror nights out there. He's done other haunts too. So he's a big haunt kid,
and this is, again, more memories, things connecting.
Oh yeah.
I did a stint for 12 years as a high school teacher.
Yeah. La Habra.
Yeah. La Habra was one of the places I went. I actually went to several different schools.
I think I already know which way you're going with this, but I'm gonna let you go with it.
Okay. Yeah. And again, you talk about inspiring generations and whatnot. And, every Halloween, I make a big deal about certain things. And, I talk about, my history at Knott's, right?
Yeah.
And I usually wait till October to do this. And as we're getting ready to come into Halloween time at my school, I see these kids with gloves, right? And I'm sitting there going, what you got there? Right. And he goes, oh, this is slider gear. And I'm like, oh, okay. Very cool. So what do you do with it? Right. Just playing completely dumb. And Sliders of Ghost Town is not out yet at this point.
Yeah.
Okay. But the other one is
Season of Screams.
Season of Screams. That one was out. And I have that DVD in my drawer, right? Because I usually give them a day off, usually Halloween, because they're really not paying attention that day. So I usually I don't want them around saws and blades. I taught construction, so I don't want them thinking, about something else and hurting themselves. So exactly, lose a finger, right? So, I usually gave him that day off. So we ended up talking some Halloween stuff. Well, I go, show me how you use that. What exactly is that? So his name, Edward Simmons. He's worked and he's in the haunt groups now. Dylan Parrish is also another one. Dylan Michael Parrish. But it's funny because all of a sudden I see him go and he picks this one group. He's not even in makeup, but he goes airborne, hits the ground. And I'm just sitting here watching from afar, watching him. He scared the heck out of this group of girls that was there. And I'm sitting there watching going, I started laughing. He comes back and he goes, that's what we do with that stuff. I said, yeah, I know. And he looks at me, he goes, yeah, and I go, trust me on this. I'm going to show you a DVD here in a couple weeks. I know exactly what you were doing. And he's like that. And I'll never forget the look on their face when I kicked in that DVD and they're like, you? I'm like, yep. And sure enough, we talked about sliding in those early days and everything, but I guess they're still involved. I know one of them went in the military and the other one's doing stuff around there now, but I know they worked Knotts for several years. So it was, you hear even like the young kids come up and it's like, they talk about, haunt and sliding and all this other stuff. That was one of those moments. It's just like, right on.
Yeah.
That was very cool.
There's a home haunt out there called Stearns. Have you heard of that one in La Habra? Stearns.
I know the street. I know the area. I haven't heard about that one though.
Okay. Yeah. I could almost swear one of the people that helps with that was in one of your classes.
Could very well be.
Or knows who you are because I came across him at the rink, because we still train at the rink.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
And he says, oh yeah, I do Stearns. I'm like, really? And somehow his La Habra High School came up, and I mentioned you because at that time I already knew you were a contract construction teacher there. And the kid said he knew you, and I can't remember his name for my life.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, he and I worked together for many years.
Yep.
So, and for the kids that hear that stuff, they're like, oh my God, that's so cool, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
they're doing it, and seeing the other side of life, our other side that we used to do,
Yeah.
They don't expect it.
Yeah, they don't think that anybody from those days are even around anymore. It's like, oh, we're still around.
No, we're still around and kicking.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, for me, I didn't think I was going to be in the industry for as long as I have. I mean, seriously, I thought about, 5 years, I'll be done. Little did I know that's when things really started turning the corner and taking off.
Yeah. Get busy with it. That's neat. Yeah. It's neat to see it blow up. And it's neat to see that, like I said, those animosities allow the celebration of everything that came before it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
All the different groups, all the different people coming together, realizing that it's about one thing, and having fun and putting on the show.
Yeah. Well, damn, dude, it was so good to have you on. Thanks for taking time out of your evening to come on and reminisce and bullshit with us and tell us your story.
Oh, heck yeah, man. Anytime. If you ever get a round table, multiple guests, I'll come on again and just shoot the breeze with people about stuff.
Absolutely.
This is always something to be celebrated, man. It's a big part of our lives. So
yeah, for sure.
Absolutely.
So everybody watching, thanks again for tuning in to another episode. Bobby, thanks again for coming on. I hope you guys like this history lesson because it goes way back to the 80s. So if you liked it, go ahead and punch that like button and smash the subscribe button. Jeremy loves when I do that.
You can tell you're the wild one and he's the corporate. Now we need to be calm.
Yeah, pretty much.
Be structured and professional here. And
I'm like,
smash that like button.